Great news! There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price, and it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
Caught Offside with Andrew Gunling and JJ Devaney.
Oh, yes! Caught Offside from the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Andrew Gunling and JJ Devaney on a semifinal Tuesday. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man?
All good.
First semifinal out of the way?
Yeah, you make it sound like it was a chore.
In the end, it was a bit of a chore. It wasn't a great game. It had the makings of a great game, but it felt a little short.
Great games are hard to come by. That's what makes them great. I don't like all this negativity around games that are fine. It was a fine game. I don't think you watched it and you were bored.
Sorry, I know this has been a great World Cup, but I didn't know we were compelled to say we liked things that we didn't think were great.
But you can still like something without it being great.
Oh, okay.
It was good. It was a good game.
It wasn't lit?
No, it wasn't lit. Like a Carius video, but...
Oh, he was lit today.
In a bad way.
Lit up on social media.
Yeah, you were saying this before the show, and you're so right. It's not often that a Liverpool Tranmere July friendly finds its way onto the front page of ESPN FC's website. But that was the case today.
I guess when you throw two in a Champions League final, throw two into the net, it kind of changes things.
Yeah, he had a blunder. Go check it out. We're not really going to spend much more time discussing that. But we are going to discuss many things on this podcast. Of course, obviously, France versus Belgium. That's the whole reason that we're here. We'll look ahead to England and Croatia. And then things happened in the world of transfers. Usually we ignore these things for large stretches of the summer because we find most of these rumors to be untrue, especially, you would think, on the day of a World Cup semifinal. But no. Cristiano Ronaldo hijacking the news cycle and makes a move from Real Madrid to Juventus. Any other day, this would have been like super emergency podcast worthy. Everyone stop what you're doing. But instead, it will be like the third thing on this podcast tonight. Now, I did have a chance earlier today to speak to Dermot Corrigan, who, of course, covers La Liga for ESPN FC. So you will hear from him a little bit later on in the program where we'll go in deep on why this happened and what it means. Because you're probably a little nervous right now. I'm a little nervous right now because there will be a ripple effect.
Sure.
Some team that has a great player right now on their roster ain't going to have that great player when the season rolls around.
Yeah, you'd wonder, what does this mean? I would have said, were this to happen before the World Cup, I saw the pawns falling a little bit differently. And now I see the domino effect, which a player that started today and did some very nice things could be the target for Real Madrid, and that's Kylian Mbappe.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Eden Hazard.
Yeah, he would probably...
Could be both.
Could be both.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. Dermot will have his take on who he believes are going to be Real Madrid's top target. My tease to you is that it is a name that neither of us have mentioned yet.
Well, it's not Neymar.
All right, then. Well, we'll see what he says. Let's see. We also have a mailbag and lots of your iTunes reviews. You guys, again...
The mailbag will be tomorrow. We're going to do iTunes reviews today.
Oh, my God.
Please stick with the program.
Oh, my God. I have a little bit of American soccer news.
Ugh.
Why? You really are one of the great phonies, certainly on this podcast.
I'm still in World Cup mode. I can't... I watched NYCFC Red Bulls the entire game at the weekend.
Stop making it sound like you're doing homework.
It was penance. It was like one of those monks who goes off into the desert to contemplate our Lord and, eats only dry bread and tea. That's what it was like.
Let's start with this, of course. This is French television earlier today.
Le corner frappé par Griezmann. C'est sur la tête d'Umtiti au premier poteau. Et c'est l'ouverture du score. Dans cette demi-finale, ça fait 1-0. 1-0 pour les Bleus. Magnifique, Umtiti.
Magnifique Umtiti.
Magnifique. You've got no...
Magnificent Umtiti.
Yep.
That's what I heard. 1-0 is your final. That was the game-winning goal early in the second half. France advancing to the final for the third time. Third since 1998. What do you think? Would you say, I thought the first half was open. I thought it was enjoyable. And I thought Belgium actually might have been a little bit hard done by to not have come up with a goal in, say, maybe the first 30 minutes of this game.
I think the opening 20, 30 minutes, if you were a Belgian fan, you were feeling very, very good. The matchup that people had talked about, where I still think it's an excellent formation from Martinez that kept Eden Hazard out of the way of N'Golo Kante and out of the way of that kind of congested centre of the park, and put him 1v1 against Pavard. And he had a lot of joy. He had that shot earlier on that was just headed over. In fact, that was heading for the roof of the net. One of the French defenders
was it Varane that I think nicked it over the crossbar?
Right. There was also the Toby Alderweireld chance, which was excellently saved by Hugo Lloris.
It was probably their best chance of the game, I would say.
I think that's fair.
I mean, Hugo had to go full stretch. He's had a really, really great tournament.
Yeah,
and I did want to talk about him a little bit, not to cut you off, but he came into this tournament sort of on the edge a little bit.
He'd had a few gaffes last season that were uncharacteristic.
He's been great for Spurs, but I would say, having watched every single one of their games last year, it was not his best season.
No.
And a lot of French fans couldn't get the memory out of their minds of what he did against Sweden during qualifying. But his performance, I think, in this tournament has been arguably the best keeper that we've seen.
You could argue that Uruguay game takes a different turn if he doesn't make that save from the header straight after France had gone 1-0 up. That's one of the best saves of the tournament, where he goes down to his right.
Right.
Brilliant save.
And just look at that game, because we didn't have a chance to even talk about the quarterfinals. We've gone straight into the semis now. But you're right. The goalkeeping at one end with what he did, and then Muslera at the other end for Uruguay. I mean, so often, and we kind of touched on it a little bit with David Priest, but goalkeeping flies under the radar, but it really does. We saw it in the Champions League. We've seen it all throughout this tournament at different points.
Look at Pickford. It could easily have been 2-0. He makes that brilliant save from the Berg header. He also makes that save from the Klaassen, Toivonen and Berg breakaway, which is probably one of the best moves of that game. So, yeah, it's been massive. And that ball actually came through a load of bodies. I don't think Hugo could see the ball or see Alderweireld, who was striking the ball, and he still had the instinct to make that save.
Right, it was a quick trigger from Alderweireld.
Yeah.
He got it off very fast.
But France started to tick around the half-hour mark, and you worried. And Belgium stopped getting Hazard on the ball in that position to go at the French right back. And there was a swing. And France, again, were very much like the embodiment of what their manager is. We always talk about how Didier Deschamps for that 98 team and that 2000 team was like, they call him the water carrier. He was the guy who did all the hard work.
Kind of the N'Golo Kante. Almost.
Yeah, very much so. And that's really what this entire team is. They were happy to sit back for long periods and absorb whatever pressure Belgium tried to put on them and then break. And at times Mbappe looked fantastic, Griezmann too, but there wasn't like there was any great flow to the game or great flow to the French attacks, and it wasn't a shock that it was a set piece that unlocked the Belgians. What was kind of shocking was how quiet Lukaku and Kevin De Bruyne were in general for Belgium, how busy Eden Hazard was, who was my man of the match, regardless of the winning team. And that left Belgium short of the kind of inspiration they needed to get back into the game. Honestly, Andrew, I know Belgium dominated the last 10 minutes, but it was France that still had the best chances at the end. Even when Belgium should have been searching for an equaliser, it was Griezmann and Tolisso. A brilliant save by Courtois to deny Tolisso. Yeah. A second goal. France were comfortable.
Yeah, and I thought Courtois was very good in his own right in this game. I thought both goalkeepers were good. Most of what you say, I pretty much agree with. There was some talk, I saw people saying that maybe Martinez going with Fellaini in what started out as almost a number 10 role.
A little bit more advanced.
Yeah, and maybe that took Lukaku and De Bruyne out of the game. Like a guy playing in that position who's just not really a classic distributor. Somebody who would be quick to get the ball and then bang, move it right on to one of the playmakers to go on and score a goal.
That's fair.
It's not, may not necessarily be what his role is.
No, Nasser Chadli.
Now, I actually thought that was probably Roberto Martinez's his boldest move, was to play Nasser Chadli in the wing-back position.
Right, and
I didn't think it backfired.
No, what you get from Chadli was hard work and graft, but what you were missing was a little bit of quality in the advanced positions. Like within the first 20 minutes, Andrew, he was after a great Belgian move, he had a chance to cross, he hits the first defender, then he takes a corner which he balloons. And that was him in a nutshell. And
But it's just funny, when you saw him playing that position, you thought, oh, they might be exposed in the back. And I don't necessarily know if I can think of him being burned too many times. It was really more an attack, where, like what you're saying, where I thought maybe he came up a little bit shorter than what you'd expect.
I think there was once when there was a ball over the top, which Mbappe just perfectly centered towards Giroud, who is struggling, let's put it, in terms of being...
It was one of my favorite passes of the tournament. On the fly, hit it perfectly, right into Giroud's path, and he just kind of scuffed it. Yeah, he went down. I don't know.
He fell as he hit it.
Yeah.
Which suggests to me that for all the hard work he's doing, and he is contributing to this team, there's no question, he's taken on the Stefan Guivarc'h mantle from 98. So going into the World Cup, Stefan Guivarc'h had been scoring all these goals at club level in Ligue 1 and just was a duck egg in the tournament. And France won the tournament without an out-and-out striker in their side. They tried with Christophe Dugarry. They had like Djorkaeff, Zidane, all sorts of different players that were coming up. This team is actually kind of similar, kind of similar to that team, although that team had way more experience and that team had Zidane. But the point being that we're dealing again with a French striker out of form at a World Cup, and his confidence seems gone. There was that moment in the second half, which was, again, you're talking about your favourite ball of the tournament. I mean, how about Mbappe facing the wrong direction, facing the corner flag, right foot, left foot flick, that sets Giroud straight through, and it deserved a goal.
I know. I think we're going to do, in 2014 we did a World Cup to Wunlings. We're planning on that again, I would assume.
I think we should have a little show where we just recap it nicely. Yeah, and we could give awards as well.
Because I'm trying to think of my favorite pass of the tournament. And
does it have to lead to a goal?
No, it does not.
Okay, that's fair.
But I think mine still does. I'm debating if I want to say it or not, or save it for when we do that. The James Rodriguez pass that he made against Poland that went around like three defenders right into Cuadrado's path, I think is still my favorite one. But Mbappe gave it a run for its money today.
Ever Benega
to Messi.
Yeah. That in slow motion is like some kind of...
Ball just stuck to him.
Yep.
I want to ask you also about Didier Deschamps, who you just mentioned. Coming into this tournament, I almost feel like there was a little bit of Gareth Southgate with him in the way that he's perceived. Now, it's a little bit different. Deschamps actually has a somewhat of a resume with France. However, I don't hear any plaudits about him. He's never mentioned among great people. Just say, oh well, he's their manager because he was a good player for them. That's all. Like people don't want.
He had a decent run at club level too.
But this is okay, fine. But I'm just saying, like getting this role, it seemed like it was almost just kind of owed to him.
Yeah,
in some form. It's not like he hasn't done anything to deserve it.
But the football has been turgid, Andrew. There's no two ways around it.
But at what point do results matter? I mean, this is now back-to-back major tournaments in which he's taken this team to a final.
It's not like, for all the talent he's got the best young talent in the world, bar none. He's got probably one of the best centre midfielders in the world on his day in Paul Pogba. He's got the most creative player, one of the most creative players in the top league in the world, in Griezmann, and one of the great goal scorers in Griezmann. Like, he's got a lot of pieces. And so, automatically, what do you think? Well, you think the football's going to be better than that. And what's happened is you've got this stultifying, tough, hard nails team that gets results from set pieces, and only on occasion do we see these sporadic breakouts of what France could be. And that's the major reason that you don't hear the plaudits from him either. Now, I think you could say the same about Gareth Southgate, but nobody looks...
The expectation was far lower. Right, I understand that. But I just sometimes wonder, we're so hesitant to give this manager credit.
But it's going to be two finals in a row.
Germany are out. Brazil are out. It's not,
sure.
We can't just say, oh, well, he's got all these great players. They should be here. Well, a lot of teams have great players and don't go as far as the final.
Yeah, but in a World Cup where we've seen so much excitement and on occasion really good football, why is it wrong to want that from one of the protagonists in the final?
I get what you're saying.
That's not unfair.
But we sit here all the time leading up to every major tournament. We say, the football in these tournaments, European Championship, World Cup, you don't always get great football.
No.
The Champions League final, Cup finals, FA Cup, don't expect a great game. You don't get that in the Cup final.
To expect it from a team that's laden with stars is not unfair.
I mean, they put 4 up against Argentina. We can't just gloss over some of these games. Belgium are great.
No,
it
but
was
if you
never
want to
going to
look
be
at
easy.
anything in detail, then if you want to just look at it like at I mean, Argentina were set up for that kind of performance. And we did give the Pavard volley plaudits and the Mbappe goal plaudits, but people have just expected more. It's that simple.
Well, I mean,
and also
they may win this thing. At what point are we going to say, oh, they won the World Cup, but I don't know.
If you want to say to me that Aimé Jacquet's team in 98, actually look back at those games, they weren't that enticing. They had to go to extra time to beat Paraguay. They weren't that flowing of football. I'd agree with you. I would say that. Two goals from set pieces, 2 headers in the final, and the one good goal they had was a breakaway when the game was dead.
It was over, yeah.
Right, so that's fine. But by 2000, I think they'd found their rhythm. And this team looks like a team that might find his rhythm. Maybe in 2 years' time we'll be talking about more flowing football.
Man, how many finals do they have to get to where we're like, oh, France, this is who they are. I mean, maybe we're just expecting something from them that they're just not going to be.
Yeah, I know not every team is Brazil in 1970 or Brazil in 1982. We didn't win anything, but we're still fondly remembered. That's a point, though.
Yeah.
Why do we talk about Brazil in 82 when they didn't even, they didn't get to the final even? It was Italy and West Germany. We talk about them because they played football that was a joy and that they had the players to do it. And that's just the way people are with the World Cup. They want to remember great teams.
What about the other team? How does Belgium get remembered?
Well, they had 2 really great games in this tournament. Probably 2 of the best. They had that amazing win over Japan, which they should have done anyway, but it was late and it was enjoyable and it created memories for their fans, no doubt, and probably a few cardiac arrests. And they beat Brazil. Mm-hmm. And I think beating Brazil, certainly from a Lukaku and De Bruyne standpoint, they looked kind of juiced in this game. Like they'd given all they had and maybe the weight of the tournament was finally catching up on them and it was just a bridge too far. I thought they were good. I
thought so too.
They played them. For me, the football that they played when they opened out and attacked was my favourite to watch. When they were in full flight. I know some of the games were against Panama and Tunisia, but that's the group they were in.
And unfortunately, the England game is just hard to judge.
You can't judge.
Both teams just made so many changes to their sides.
I mean, Adnan Januzaj scored. But certainly the Japan game was hugely enjoyable, and when their winning goal was really worthy of a. If you're going to win a game, win it like that. I thought they were fantastic against Brazil. Really, 2 really great goals.
Survived an onslaught at the end.
Right.
I mean, it could have gone a little bit differently if Brazil were just finishing better. But you're right. Belgium ultimately did enough to win.
So they did things, and maybe Roberto Martinez will look back on it and think, we could have taken care of Colombia and we could have had the route England did. But I don't know. They still have that memory of beating Brazil. It's better than what they came out of the last tournament with.
Absolutely.
And that's finishing against Wales in such a fashion.
Yeah. Maybe it's still a little too early to start jumping to these kind of conclusions, but I feel like if you're Belgian, if you're a fan of this team, do you feel like all the hype of this group of players has been realized? Well, I think you kind of do.
Well, I think at stages in the tournament, it's like, who were the no-shows? Was there a no-show? Like, from the guys we were expecting stuff from, we got performances from Kevin De Bruyne, we got performances from Hazard, we got a performance from Dries Mertens, we got a performance from Lukaku. Like, what you didn't get was it all coming together in a semi-final. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, I wonder too if Belgian fans are going to be like, oh, we should have brought Nainggolan. But I don't know. Do you feel like he was something that was lacking for them?
Not really.
Not really.
I mean, I know there's loads of people who listen to us we got so many Nainggolan tweets over the course of this World Cup when Belgium were struggling, particularly in the middle of the Belgium-Japan game. But no, not for me. I think Nainggolan's a fine footballer, but maybe Nainggolan for Witsel makes a difference. I actually nearly don't want to debate this because I'm going to get so many. I watched Roma last season. Like he never.
But that could be.
Well, I saw from what I saw of him. He was fine. He's a fine footballer, but I'm not sure that's the difference. The difference was on the big game, Lukaku and De Bruyne weren't, for whatever reason, tactically or just in terms of what they'd expended against Brazil, they didn't turn up.
Yeah. And I wonder too if Roberto Martinez rebuilt his reputation a little bit in this tournament. Now, it's funny because there were moments where he was kind of repeatedly criticized throughout this. You know, what's he doing with Carrasco at a wing back? Today, like I mentioned, the Fellaini, and there were some people who were critical of Moussa Dembele coming back into the squad, that he wasn't getting rid of the ball quick enough either. but
Belgium
they beat Brazil. And they got to a semifinal and lost to a French team that could very well go on and win this tournament. So look, I wonder what the next step is for him.
He changed. I wonder, will he? I think he might see it to 2020 in the European Championships, and then I think he might want to get the itch for club football might be too much after that. Kind of try and see, is this team ready to win a major trophy? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's only 2 years. It's really not that long.
They should bring back most of this squad. I mean, these guys will still mostly be in their prime for that tournament.
Don't forget the UEFA Nations Cup. Whatever you think of that tournament begins very, very soon and has a direct impact on qualifying. So there's not like much time. I think he'll be straight into the flow of things, and he may want to do this next cycle, which begins in the fall. And I think that might be the impetus for him to stay on. Like, tactically, there was a moment where you're like, Mbappe gets the ball on the right-hand side. And I'll do this quickly because I don't want to bore people. But Mbappe gets the ball on the right-hand side and Pavard makes a run. Andrew, there's 3 Belgian players, including Fellaini, Witsel, and the Belgian centre-half. Mm-hmm. So they've got numbers. They're not cut open. But yet Mbappe is being clearly marked as this guy that's so important. They're transfixed on Mbappe and the ball. Pavard runs right by them. Ball goes in behind, and that should have been a goal for France. That kind of thing. That's where a manager is like, well, I can't help you anymore. I put you in the position to stop this move happening. And it's just brilliant skill from the young Frenchmen. And it's also the fact that you've just frozen. So he showed a flexibility. I'm going to be interested to see what he does. I think he'll stay on.
So that's our look at France and Belgium. France move on to the final as we have laid out for you. And who they will face next, well, that is the mystery. It'll be England and Croatia Wednesday at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Man, I'm really, of all the games in the knockout stage of this tournament, this is one that I am feeling many, many conflictions on.
In terms of who you're rooting for?
No. Or JJ, how dare you even suggest the thought that I wouldn't be with Mother England.
With Mother England. Old Englandy Andy is really in full flow.
No, in terms of who I think are going to go on and win this game.
I've been back and forth on it a little bit myself. I'm shading. I think England will shade it right now. I'm going for England, but I say that with no massive confidence.
We didn't have a chance to talk about the England-Sweden game.
Well, we can now.
Yeah, of course. And you know who was very excited about what was going on in England and Sweden? This was your buddy Ross Kemp. After that first goal.
Kempster.
Yeah.
Yes! Now we hold. We do not give in. We do not allow them to score.
Is he in character?
See, what I love about that is he's self-aware now. Like,
that's what you love about it.
No. I hate that he's self-aware, but I love the fact that he thinks he's imparting this great knowledge to us tactically. We don't let them score. Oh, Ross!
I didn't take it like that.
You're understanding.
To me, this is a motivational speech.
He hammed it up so much. It's incredible. Like you felt in the first video he had a few drinks in him. In this one, you feel like, oh, I went viral in a big way. Now I've got to keep doing this.
Yes! Now.
Yeah.
That is everything.
Harry Maguire, I mean, you talk about people who have made... Ross Kemp has made a name for himself as Harry Maguire has.
Oh, he is a walking meme. It's unbelievable.
People are very taken with the size of his head. People seem to... I've looked at him throughout this tournament. I don't know, maybe he's got a little bit of a big head, but people just seem to be talking like he's walking around with this giant melon.
I think Jamie Vardy called him slab head.
Did he?
Yeah.
Do you see it? Do you think that he's got this like gargantuan head?
No, but when he connects, the ball just it propels the ball forward. It's unbelievable. He's a meme though for leaning across at that girl. I mean, we've used it as well. That picture of him leaning as if he's trying to chat up a girl at the bar is just fantastic.
Did we ever find out who that girl is?
I think it's his girlfriend.
Okay.
I'm not even sure, but it's funny.
I hope it is, because the look she was giving him, they're clearly in love. It looked like a beautiful moment.
Yeah, and he looks like he's play a bit, play for England. Got a game against Sweden. If you want to come by, maybe we could do something after. I don't know, but see you later.
He looks, he's
chatting her up.
He's feeling himself a little bit.
He is.
And you know what? If not now, when?
Big old slab head.
But he's been one of the guys for this team that has emerged. There's been some discussion about Raheem Sterling.
Oh, I've got something on that later, but
okay. No.
Do you want to postpone that conversation?
Yeah, certainly.
You asked a question on the rundown. How have England gotten to this point? And I wasn't sure how to take it. Do you mean like the route, or do you mean what have they done in terms of organisation of this side?
More that, because I'll be honest.
The route's been easy.
Yeah. Yes.
Incredibly easy.
Everyone, we talked about this and we agreed about it. And all of you out there that were critical of Gareth Southgate in England, if you're an English fan, you all owe him an apology. I don't want to say that it was impossible for them to get to this point had they not had the route that they were going to take, but they're in the semifinal. You should be very excited if you're an English fan. This is an awesome moment. They haven't been great.
No.
Like it's hard for me to look at the way England have played and thought, okay, maybe they would have beaten Japan, but I don't see them beating Brazil in the game after that. And we'll see what happens tomorrow when they play Croatia. But, I don't believe that this team would have been, well, maybe they'll play France and we'll find out. But I don't think that they would have beaten France in the semifinal either.
No, and I was looking back at the game and, the aforementioned Sterling was criticised a lot. But the best moves that England put together involved him breaking beyond Sweden. And it didn't happen that often. The amount of flowing football there wasn't a ton of it. Now, that was partly down to the stoic and solid nature of the Swedes. But probably one of the best moves was it ended up with the Pickford save, was the Klaassen, Toivonen and Berg move, which was like a great piece of football. If you look at the Colombia game, they didn't create a ton of chances at all in that game. Mm-hmm. And we asked David Priest, was he worried? He said he wasn't. He said he felt against the better teams that they create chances. Well, the way I look at it is, and I don't want to sound like bitter, but England have got to a semi-final now, and I'm not sure I know if they're any good yet. Like, I know they're well organised. I know what they can do in set pieces. I know they've got a spirit about them. I know they've got a system that works. But in terms of playing the kind of football that's going to down a really big side, I don't know.
Can you explain, by the way, why set pieces has it always been like this? I feel like every goal in this tournament is coming off of some kind of set piece.
I think it might be something to do with the fact that if you look at the lack of preparation time, set pieces on a training ground for an international team is something they can work on pretty quickly. Like formationally and, like patterns of play, you don't have time to do that in a tournament. You don't have time to do it in qualifying. But a corner kick or a free kick, you can set up routines pretty easily, and England have excelled at that.
Here are the statistics for it, if you're curious. There have been 48 set-piece goals in this tournament since 1966. That is far and away the most. 30% of all goals scored in this tournament have come via set-piece. The next closest after that was 2006, when 28% were through a set-piece. And there's still... Well, I mean, if you include the third-place game, there's still 3 games to be played.
I think teams have focused on it and realised that, hey, this is something we can get right. This is something we can do in the limited time we have together, and we can perfect it.
If you include penalties in that conversation, almost 44%. So you could say
almost... I don't.
Well, most dead ball goals. Let's just say dead ball goals rather than set-piece goals. So if you bring in penalties plus set pieces, nearly half, almost half of all goals scored in this tournament have come from some sort of dead ball situation.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like an anomaly or if there's a reason for it.
I know why the lesser teams would do it, because like if they get a free kick,
this is our chance.
This is our chance. Right. Let's be organised. Let's do it. But
you mean like Japan in the final play against Belgium? What? Continue. This is our chance.
Yeah. Don't make me go down that road with you again. Don't make me walk you through while lofting the ball up to a goalkeeper. And
who do you believe should be favoured in this England-Croatia match? Help me. I think my conflict here is immense. I need help.
Right. Well, so what are Croatia?
Oh my God, he can't even muster the words.
What are Croatia going to do in midfield is interesting to me. Does Rakitic and Modric form the two at the bottom of the 4-2-3-1. I don't think that's a good idea. They're too attack-minded. They're going to have someone in there sitting. So I think Brozovic is going to come in. It's going to be Rakitic and him there. And I think Modric is going to push further up the field. I think they need to do that. Targeting weak areas for England. That back three is very comfortable on the ball. Every single one is. And they're able to play out from the back, which is Like, really important. And I'm not making comparisons, but the last England team to play 3 at the back, in my memory, at a major tournament was in Euro 96, where they got to a semi-final, but in a World Cup was in 1990. So this is a system that has worked for England in the past. But I'm wondering, it's not saying he's not a good player, but Kyle Walker is somebody they can target with Mandzukic's height. We've seen already in this tournament, he's not comfortable with diagonal balls coming into the box. I think he's something, they can get knockdowns to Kramaric, they can play from there off Modric. That's where I see them causing England problems.
I'm curious about 2 guys in particular for Croatia, one of whom you kind of mentioned in Rakitic. I feel like he's been in the spotlight because he's had some crucial penalty makes.
Right.
But I don't believe he's had a great tournament.
I think he had a great game against Argentina.
Okay.
But
everyone did for them that day.
That's quite a while. That's a few games ago.
Yeah. I feel like he doesn't see enough of the ball.
Okay.
I'd like to see Croatia bring him into the game a little bit more. Now, maybe that's him playing, like you said, you'd play him in the 2 of a 4-2-3-1
with Brozovic and let Modric go, because I think you're limiting him by bringing him back the field to try and initiate attacks.
So let Rakitic be the link between the defense and then Modric.
But that's how I would do it, and I think that's the natural way to do it.
And then, of course, the other player, and it's gotten some publicity this week. When Liverpool and Spurs met earlier this season, it was a nightmare for Dejan Lovren, and he was taken off. 30 minutes into that game?
Yeah,
I mean, it was really, really ugly. They will be reunited tomorrow.
Couple of points on that. He was struggling massively with his fitness, and he was popping pills like there was no tomorrow. He admitted it. Mm-hmm. Also, he got isolated with Harry Kane. That can't happen again. That must not happen again. I don't think it will. I would hope it doesn't happen again. If you're asking, is there a problem on set pieces, look at what Fernandes did for Russia against Croatia on a set piece.
Yeah.
How does he end up getting on that ball?
I don't know.
Equally, when England start in that bunch formation and they break off, how does Emil Forsberg end up picking up Slabhead? Like the smallest, he must be the smallest Swede on the field outside of Larsson. So they've got to be keyed in, because England will be. And that's a way England can hurt them. And like I said, the diagonal ball, trying to find Mandzukic, the quick break as well. Croatia are very good at that. Now, will anything be quick for Croatia after playing 2 120-minute games?
I'm so curious at the role fatigue is going to play in this game. Because, look, England have to be tired too. I mean, they played the 120 minutes against Colombia. What might have been the most physical game of the tournament so far. Now, Croatia, like you say, have had back-to-back 120-minute games. I don't know. I kind of think everyone's tired at this point. That extra 30 minutes, is that going to make so much of a difference coming into this one? I think both teams are probably exhausted. You saw it a little bit from Belgium at the end of this game today. They look tired to me.
Chris Waddle says it's a World Cup semi-final. Do not listen to talk of fatigue.
Yeah.
Because you have to be ready for it. You've had 3 days rest. You're in a tournament already, so you're used to the rapidity of the games. Now, the only thing is, you saw cramp in the Croatian goalkeeper before you even got to, extra time almost. Subotic was like falling over with cramp, which is really kind of concerning. Pitches are a little bit heavier than people thought as well. They're cutting up a little bit too. So I don't know. I'm fascinated by this one. I say with very little confidence that I think England will shade it.
Interesting. It's also been very interesting to me, JJ, to see how, we've talked at length about the whole it's coming home.
Well, let's reflect on that for 1 second.
Yeah.
This started off as kind of a joke. This was England fans being kind of self-deprecating. A certain online crew were making fun of the whole it's coming home, I can see a path to the final. Now that they're in a semi-final, they don't know what to do with it. And it's become this monster.
I know. And you're starting to see now the entertainment world has taken hold. I had Ghostbusters on the other night.
Really?
Yeah. Famous scene from the movie. And
they're on top of the building and they're told, don't think of anything, or else that something will appear and destroy you.
Yeah. And then this happens.
I couldn't help it. It just popped in there.
What? What just popped in there?
I tried to think.
Look!
No! It can't be.
What is it?
It can't be.
What did you do, Ray? Oh.
It's coming home. It's coming home. It's
unbelievable. One of the climactic moments of the movie.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and then I was watching another movie, and I could have sworn in the movie Inception, the kick, the song that like kicks in as they're coming out of their dream to trigger them. I always thought it was something different, but I was watching it, and now
I'm not lying on my carpet in my apartment. I'm still dreaming. Dream within a dream, huh? I'm impressed. But in my dream, you play by my rules.
Yes, but you see, Mr. Sato, not in your dream or in mine.
It's everywhere.
It's incredible.
People are getting very excited.
People in England are hugely excited. I actually think our two memes there, mine was the Ghostbusters, yours was Inception.
Yeah.
Those are two of the best I've
think
heard
so?
this week. Yeah, and they're everywhere.
Yeah, I saw the Wizard of Oz had one. There's been some good ones. It's been a lot of fun. You know what else is so fun?
What's fun?
You ready?
I suppose so.
All right, this is all England-Croatia themed trivia.
All right.
Here we go. Here we go. I think you'll like this first one, actually. These teams have met just once in a major tournament. A group stage match of the 2004 European Championships. England won 4-2. Can you name England's 3 goal scorers in that game?
Wayne Rooney.
He scored twice. That's correct.
He scored twice. Frank Lampard.
That's right. He scored in the 79th minute.
And Sir Sol of Campbell.
No.
Sir Rio of Ferdinand.
No. Sir Paul of Scholes. Oh, you were so close. Good. That was pretty good, though.
All right.
Let's see. 1998 was Croatia's first World Cup appearance. From then until now, only 4 nations have appeared in more World Cup semifinals than Croatia, including this one that Croatia is about to appear in. Can you name those 4 teams?
Germany.
Right.
Italy.
No.
No. Holland.
Yeah, very good. That was the tough one.
Germany. Brazil.
Yeah?
Who am I missing here?
Don't think too hard.
Argentina.
No, you thought too hard.
Oh, who?
France.
Oh, France, yeah.
And then last but not least, Harry Kane is currently the Golden Boot leader in this tournament with 6 goals. How many of them have come from open play?
He's... there's the one off the heel, which kind of... 2. 3.
1. That one off the heel is his only goal from open play.
Oh, go away.
He's got 3 penalties, and then his other 2 are off corner kicks.
Oh, the header.
They're not directly,
that's open
though.
play. No, that's open.
On the official stat sheet that I looked at,
but it's flicked on.
It counted them.
Slabhead flicked it on.
It counted the 2 from the Tunisia game as set-piece goals. He has 1 goal from open play, and it was a ridiculous fluke off the back of his heel from a Ruben Loftus-Cheek shot. Interesting. He's going to win the Golden Boot, most likely.
Wowzers, trousers.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. That was fun.
Wow. Thank you. That meant a lot. Let's see. We continue now. Cristiano Ronaldo no longer plays for Real Madrid. That's a big story. Let that sink in for a moment, JJ. 9 years. 9 years of memories. They're all gone.
No, he's gone. What? They're not all gone. He can still remember them.
No.
This isn't Men in Black. He hasn't had his memory wiped.
They're all gone. €100 million transfer fee to Juventus. Madrid. Now, the interesting thing about this, Real Madrid reportedly, according to Gab Marcotti, did come back once Juventus had agreed to a contract with Ronaldo. And Real Madrid agreed to match that contract for Juve.
Yeah.
And Ronaldo said,
no.
It's too late. And he's gone. He will now be in the black and white stripes.
I think he made noises straight after the Champions League final where he said, he talked about playing for Real Madrid in the past tense, saying he had enjoyed it. Yeah. And, he's played this game. We thought that was the game that he seems to play.
I was fooled, man. I thought this was more posturing. We saw it last summer. But
did you not feel like Spain had become so hostile to him in terms of like the Spanish government in particular, and that massive bill and a suspended prison sentence, whichever way you want to look at it, it is not great and makes you feel like I need to get out of here.
Yeah, I'm sure that left a bitter taste in his mouth. He'll end his time with Real Madrid as their all-time leading scorer. There's a little bit of controversy as to how many goals he's actually scored.
451 or 450?
Right. According to Real Madrid and Marca, I believe. It's
451.
Yeah. According to UEFA.
And Dermot Corrigan.
It's 450. Yeah. But either way, he's their all-time leading scorer. 4 Champions League titles with them. He personally won 4 of his 5 Ballon d'Ors.
And no one's talking about his 2 league championships.
Define no one.
Wasn't mentioned in his statement.
Well, you know what? In 9 seasons...
It's not great.
Right. Maybe that's one aspect of his time with Real Madrid that he looks back on with some mixed reviews, I would say. The fans probably do as well. But his Champions League success is just so overwhelming that that just stands out so far and away above everything else. Why did it come to this is a question that I keep thinking about in my head. We've heard about his cold relationship with Florentino Perez. Ronaldo was making 38 million euros gross annually. Messi was at 73 million. Neymar was at 66 million. I think that's why it came to this. It's hard to feel bad for a guy making 38 million. But when you look at his direct peers, I mean, the guys who you would say that he's in the same category as or better than, and Messi was almost making double what Ronaldo was making, and I think Cristiano Ronaldo never could get over that.
And Guillaume Balaguer made an interesting point tonight on the BBC, saying that his overwhelming desire to be loved by everyone, and if he's not being loved by the top guy at Real Madrid, Florentino Perez, then maybe he felt like it was time for him to go. And I think a rumour I read today, don't know if it's true, that his people had contacted United to see was there any interest there, and I think what Ronaldo was looking for was not within the structure of what they wanted to do, either money-wise or team-wise. And Juventus, we all remember the standing ovation he got after his bicycle kick there from the Juventus fans. I don't know. It's interesting. It's Juventus is a massive club. You can't. There's in no way you can say that he's. It's not like a move to China and we're not going to hear this guy again. He's going to be front and center.
No, they're considered. After this move was made, I believe they went to be 7-1 Champions League favorites for the upcoming season, which was among the best.
Yeah, mad if they won one and Buffon is at PSG.
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't that be something if that went out to be the final?
Strange.
If Juve PSG with Buffon and Madrid, all these, it would look very weird. Well, I'll tell you what, I had the chance earlier today to speak with Dermot Corrigan about a lot of this. This really interrupted our World Cup discussions, but you know what? It was worth it. So this is right after it happened. I give Dermot a lot of credit for stopping what he was doing and joining us, and here's that conversation right now.
Hey, Andrew, how's it going? Yeah, pretty exciting news here. Madrid have confirmed that Ronaldo's going to go to Juventus. They've confirmed that they have accepted his express wish and request to be allowed to leave. They thank him for his service, and he's out the door.
Yeah, unbelievable. Ronaldo to Juve. I mean, how did this come about? Had this been bubbling for a while? Where did this all kind of generate from?
The idea that Ronaldo might leave Madrid has been bubbling for a long time. His relationship with club chief Florentino Perez has never been the best, really. He wasn't a Florentino Perez signing, really, and they've always they've got along together without really being too close. Then over the last, 12 months ago or at the end of last season, Ronaldo came out and said he wanted to leave, or he let it be known that he wanted to leave, that he'd had it with Spain. His tax problem started at that stage as well. And it just kept going really through the season. He's unhappy with the amount of money he earns at Madrid. He feels undervalued by the club. He feels a lack of warmth coming from the hierarchy at the club, which really means Florentino. He would have left last summer, I think, if he had if there was an escape route which was attractive to him. He would have joined Manchester United or Paris Saint-Germain at that time. He stayed with Madrid because there was no attractive option to him to leave. We're another Champions League title play, great again. They wouldn't have won it without him probably, including that great goal against Juventus. And now this summer, what's changed really is that Juventus have decided that they will cough up the money for him. They made him an offer that he was willing to accept, and Madrid have decided that at this stage they're happy to take the 100 million euros or so that Juventus will pay for Ronaldo and to say thanks very much, but we're moving on.
The relationship with Florentino Perez is always one that's been really interesting to me. I mean, was it really just those two that clashed heads? I mean, I don't feel like I've heard much talk about Ronaldo clashing with teammates. It was really just a relationship with the president that caused all of this to come undone.
I think so, yeah. Like Ronaldo is, he's a unique character. We from what we can see from his life, from the the different snippets we get to see from, everybody kind of feels they have an idea of who Ronaldo is, but he's a very private guy. He's not particularly close to the people in the dressing room, but they get along with him. I don't think there's any idea that, there's really factions within the dressing room. Gareth Bale maybe keeps himself to himself as well, but I don't think that's the reason why Ronaldo feels unwanted at Madrid or unloved at Madrid. He has been, he on occasion has been whistled by fans at the Bernabeu. Everybody goes through that from Zidane to Casillas and now to Ronaldo. Different stars have fallen afoul of the Bernabeu fans. But Ronaldo probably would have put up with that, I think. The tax situation, it's hard to know how much that has impacted on him. He does feel victimised by the Spanish government. Whether that's true or not is maybe something for another day, because a lot of other footballers have been in similar situations. It's not just him, but he has taken it very personally. He doesn't feel so comfortable maybe in Spain. But again, it's the relationship with Florentino, which for me anyway is the main reason that it's come to this.
Dermot, sort of an unanswerable question, but in watching him play, how much high-level football do you believe he has left?
It is unanswerable. I've been, ever since, 4 years now, we went to the World Cup in 2014. It seemed his knees were really gone at that stage. We were all kind of, or I was especially thinking that, maybe he's going to be on a downward slope from here. Proven us definitely wrong in that. He scored so many goals. Even the start of last season through last autumn, he went that run where he'd only scored 1 or 2 La Liga goals up until November, December time. Then turned around and the goals flooded in through the second half of the season. He ended up scoring as many as Messi over the season. So to write him off, I wouldn't be doing it at all. I would say that he has learned to manage his playing time. Zidane was pretty good. He was able to, maybe as a peer-to-peer, to explain to Ronaldo that to get the most out of his career, he was going to have to relax a bit, and he has eased off a bit. He doesn't feel he has to play every game or score, play against Levante just to score the 5 goals that he wanted to get to win the Golden Boot. That's no longer as important to him. He realises that he needs to be at his best for the big games. So I'd be, if whoever Juventus come up against next season, when it gets around to the closing stages of the Champions League, Ronaldo's going to be potentially decisive against anybody in those games. I wouldn't have any doubt about that.
Dermot Corrigan of ESPN FC joining us here on Caught Offside. Dermot, you mentioned before fans whistling him. It feels like Ronaldo has always had kind of this interesting relationship with the people of Madrid, the fans of the club. What is the legacy that he leaves here? I mean, tons of success in Europe, mixed results domestically. Did he achieve there what fans had hoped he would when he initially signed?
It's a difficult one to say this quickly, because especially around Madrid, you have so many different factions who will argue different things. There are those who are total Cristiano loyalists who say that he did everything possible to pull the team through to win as much as they did. There are others who say that because the team was so built around him, that so reliant on him to come through then in good times and in bad, that it meant that they dropped points throughout the season at different times, and it meant that they weren't as consistent as Barcelona were with Messi in their team, and that's the reason why. There is something about Madrid and the Champions League that goes back before Ronaldo's time. It's not, this season wasn't the first time that they've stumbled through La Liga, kind of got knocked out of the Copa del Rey to a smaller team, but got things right when the European Cup came around or the Champions League music started to play. So it is something that Madrid have in their history, so you can't really blame Ronaldo for that. But there are those who didn't like the way that he didn't work so hard in maybe closing down opposition defenders against smaller teams, that he picked and chose his games to put in his best performances. But overall, I think people will look on him, and they'll look at the 4 Champions Leagues in the last 5 years, and this will be the Cristiano era, in the way that the Di Stefano era was the 1950s when they won the 5 in a row.
Yeah. Is there any reason to think that the managerial appointment of Julen Lopetegui could have had anything to do with pushing Ronaldo out the door? Is it a style that maybe he doesn't want to play? Could that have any impact on what happened here?
I think things were already in process before Zidane left at the end of last season. Who knows what went on between them, because Zidane was very good at getting Ronaldo to focus on just playing football and putting aside his contractual affairs, because had loads of press conferences through last winter when there be lots of questions about Ronaldo. Should the club do something? Should the club improve Ronaldo's contract? Should the president come out with a statement of support for Ronaldo? What about his tax affairs? That kept getting asked, and Zidane was able to put the kibosh on to stop those questions by getting Ronaldo just to focus on his football for the last 6 months or so. And he was able to talk to Ronaldo as a peer, as somebody who'd won the Ballon d'Or, won the World Cup, done everything in football. Lopetegui's not that type of figure. He's a new coach. He's a guy who, his reputation is in building teams with younger players, which, wouldn't fit with Ronaldo. It's going to be tough for Lopetegui when he comes in. So I think it was probably underway already, but I don't think a phone call from Lopetegui would have really changed Ronaldo's mind in the way that maybe Zidane might be able to talk to him on an individual level.
And Dermot, last one for you. When something like this happens at a club like Real Madrid, where suddenly a vacuum opens up like this, I feel like fans of clubs around Europe start getting really, really nervous because Real Madrid are not just going to rest on their laurels. I feel like PSG fans, Liverpool fans, Spurs fans, Chelsea fans, all of a sudden there's a lot of nervous people around Europe. I mean, what are some of the rumors now of what Real Madrid are going to do to fill this void that Ronaldo leaves behind?
Yeah, they have to do something for sure. They've freed up a lot of money, as well as the 100 million or so that they get from Juventus. They've freed up a huge chunk of money off the wage bill that they now have available to go and spend on somebody. Neymar is number one target, I'm pretty sure. Florentino Perez has been following Neymar for a long time, for a decade or so now. He's had him down as somebody who, as well as the performances that Neymar can bring on the pitch, he also has that off-the-pitch marketing appeal that Ronaldo had as well. He's the only guy who can really fill a Ronaldo-sized gap. Mbappe, maybe will become that guy later on in his career. At the moment, looks an amazing player, but maybe doesn't have the marketing appeal that Neymar has. So it'll be number one Neymar, then Mbappe. Then you're looking at people like maybe Eden Hazard, Harry Kane, people like that. They are very good players and, would get into the Madrid team and everything, but I don't think they have that pizzazz that Neymar would have. So he's going to be all out to get him, I'm pretty sure.
Fascinating stuff. I know this all kind of just happened. Thanks so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
Cheers, Andrew.
Our thanks to Dermot Corrigan, giving us some time on what is surely a very, very busy day.
So it is Neymar.
Well, that's who he believes is going to be the top target. He talks about how Florentino Perez has always had an affinity for Neymar. He will be the big-ticket item. He will sell, the most jerseys. Presumably, he'll be a guy that can, he kind of fits the mold, it feels like, of a Real Madrid player.
He'll get his desire to be the big fish at the biggest stage, whereas I think he's realised last season that being the big fish at PSG just isn't the same thing.
It's going to be, seeing them now have all of this money to spend, that's a scary thing, Real Madrid with money. Because we've seen it go in for almost anyone they want.
Yeah, but don't forget they're losing a once-in-a-lifetime player.
They are, but that doesn't necessarily make it a bad move to me. He's 33 years old. There's been times where, yes, he has changed the way he plays to continue to make himself as one of the greatest players on earth. But how much longer is he going to be able to continue to do that? If they lose him, but they pick up a Neymar or an Mbappe or even a Hazard or a Kane or Salah, someone like that, I think he kind of is that a win for Real Madrid? Looking at like the next 3 seasons.
Well, I suppose that this is a decision that was going to have to happen sooner rather than later, especially like you say, he's 33. So maybe they're getting a jump on things and it puts them in a stronger position. It gives them a chance to restock and rebuild and find out what they want to do. I don't know. It's an interesting start to the Lopetegui reign at the Bernabeu.
Yeah, it really is. We'll obviously continue to keep an eye on what Real Madrid decide to do with that 100 million. JJ, hiring is challenging, but there's only one place you can go where hiring is simple, fast, and smart. A place where growing businesses connect to qualified candidates. That place
is Greece, the island where the Agnelli family met Cristiano Ronaldo, right?
Right, that's correct, because he had put his resume on ZipRecruiter.
Ah, I see.
They found it quickly. ZipRecruiter sends your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, but they don't stop there. With their powerful matching technology, ZipRecruiter scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience and invite them to apply to your job. Ronaldo really fit Juventus's bill perfectly. They had their demands and said, this guy looks like he could be good. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. With results like that, it's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the highest-rated hiring site in America. And right now, listeners to this podcast can try ZipRecruiter for free. at this exclusive web address. Take this down, ZipRecruiter.com/offside. That's ZipRecruiter.com/offside. OFFSIDE. ZipRecruiter.com/offside. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
I think you could hire a number one goalkeeper for an upcoming Premier League season on ZipRecruiter.
Why? You have a team in mind?
Oh, I think I could think of someone.
I'll tell you what, if there's any video editing positions out there, I think I could think of someone as well.
Yeah.
I think Loris Karius did a beautiful job with his California vacation video.
He's very good on the Instagrams.
He certainly is. Can I give you my American news real quick before we get to...
Sure. Make it snappy.
Oh, okay. I do believe that there are people out there who are interested in hearing that...
I'll dictate what they're interested in.
16-year-old Will Vint has been signed to Manchester United's under-18s. Oh, JJ is leaning back now. He's moved away from the microphone. He was part of their training camp over the weekend in Austria. His dad, Peter Vint, is that name familiar to you?
No.
Oh, well, he was actually Everton's academy director.
Interesting.
Yeah. Vint's a midfielder who's playing at Real Colorado in the U.S. development program. He also impressed, apparently, last year with Manchester United's under-15s, so now they brought him back. Just another name to file away. So, this is what we're doing. We're building a catalog of guys that all of you out there who listen to this podcast, when Will Vint becomes something, you can say, oh, I remember him from Caught Offside. They were ahead of the curve.
Right. And we
need to be ahead of the curve.
And we can have a great segment called Vintage Moments.
That's a great point. Also, good news for Bobby Wood. He'll be remaining in the Bundesliga after newly relegated Hamburg loaned him to Hanover.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
Why?
Well,
strange for who?
I thought they'd be trying to cut that, trying to sell him off completely.
Oh, all right.
Cut the wage bill.
I'm just happy that he's in the top flight. He had a rough year domestically, 3 goals and 25 appearances for Hamburg. Certainly didn't help them as they were relegated. But it's good. I want him playing in the highest.
And
division.
He really is drinking in the last chance saloon there.
Yeah, and one other one in the Bundesliga, Chris Richards, 18-year-old defender within the FC Dallas Academy. He's been loaned to Bayern Munich. Had a 10-day trial with Bayern back in April. Obviously, it went well. Now he'll be a part of their under-19s. He was a part of Dallas's under-19s this year.
They have that whole relationship, though.
That's right. They have a partnership
now.
This is the first move of that partnership. So good stuff there.
Good. That was actually more pleasing news than I expected from you.
This was quick and simple.
Quick and exciting.
Yeah. Let's see. We had a lot of people chime in. So many for the iTunes reviews that we actually were not able to get to all of the highlights that you guys had posted.
No, we had so many, and Andrew called them. I did not.
Favorite quarterfinal moments.
So what are we going with first then?
Well, I have here David Villa.
Okay, so this is from J.A. Paraguay. My favourite quarterfinal memory is heartbreak for my home country, but it's the only time we've appeared there, and the boys did us proud. So that's the 2010 World Cup final in South Africa versus Spain. There was a goal ruled out for Paraguay for offside. Spain had a penalty kick saved. Cardoza misses a penalty for Paraguay. Then David Villa had an 83rd minute winner, which went in off both posts.
Yeah, this is the call on FIFA TV.
Iniesta's found some space here, just gliding through and putting it wide. And Pedro! Oh, he's in the post. Villa has to. He's in the post, but it's finally in. They've done it the hard way, but they've done it, and it's David Villa.
Oh, yeah. I don't miss that. Please stop.
What's the next one?
Let's see. The next one involves Spain, but for a negative result.
So this is from Diego Simeone's understudy. Quarterfinal 2002, Spain versus South Korea. It got to the point where all I could do was laugh at every decision the ref made. There was some crackers in
This
here.
was on ITV.
No, the whistle's gone. That won't count. Well, Baraka turning towards the referee, but in fairness, he had already blown before that header flew in past Lee Woon-jae.
The ball's fed into the box. I'm just trying to find out what actually goes on here, Peter. It looks like possibly an infringement there. Not quite sure. Just a sea of bodies there.
Well, it's Helguera in the thick of things. I don't think Baraka was doing anything wrong.
I don't see a lot wrong there, to be honest with you, Peter.
It was inexplicable.
There was nothing wrong with that goal.
Yeah. I don't understand. I remember feeling that way a little bit when the U.S. played Slovenia, and we thought Maurice Edu had scored the winner.
Yeah.
And the whistle had blown prior to the set piece. Who was it? Kuman Koulibaly was the ref. I remember watching the replay I don't know, 30 times, and looking at every single player.
You can't figure it out.
To this day, I don't understand what happened.
And Spain had another goal ruled out for the ball was over the line. It wasn't even close to over the line when it was crossed back in. Very, very odd.
Next one I have here, JJ, is Tim Krul.
Oh, this is from WLock07. As an American born in Holland, I have a lot of fond memories of World Cup quarterfinals. Something about Krul being subbed on for penalties has always stuck with me.
Saved by Krul! Dutch cheers right around the arena Fontenova. And it's saved by Krul! It's the Netherlands who go through to the semi.
He was like, it was awesome that he did it, and it was a cool strategy
but it sucked.
But he was such a D. Like, in the whole penalty kicks.
Oh, he was. He really was.
Because, like, here's Costa Rica. Not to say that, like, okay, you're in this moment, and I'm all for taking whatever advantage, but Costa Rica were kind of like this underdog story, and here comes Tim Krul to just be such a D to all of them. Like, he's like talking trash before every penalty kick.
That's right.
I don't know. It was just...
It was his moment to shine.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
I got... This is one of those, like, remember where you were moments.
Oh, this is Suarez.
Yeah.
This is from THC654. Craziest quarterfinal moment was Luis Suarez red card handball with Asamoah Gyan hitting the crossbar on the penalty kick.
Boateng's there. Keeper's lost it. Appy is there. Blocked on the line. Blocked on the line again. Has it gone in? Flag goes up. And the officials are going to have to step in here. Well, it's a red card. It's been blocked on the line. Does this mean Ghana have got a penalty with the last kick of the game? Oh, I do not believe it. Suarez leaves the field in tears. Asamoah Gyan for Ghana. Oh, and he's missed. Oh, I cannot believe it. And it was the last kick of the game. And Asamoah Gyan cannot finish Uruguay off.
And Uruguay, of course, then won on penalties.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
It was our introduction to that sneaky, crafty little devil, Luis Suarez.
I don't think he did anything wrong. I know a lot of people have a huge problem with it.
Oh, I think in terms of his list, his rap sheet, if you will, I wouldn't put that on it.
No, I don't.
I don't think it's in there with doing a racism or, for example, biting someone.
And like people want to say that it's cheating, but maybe if he had gotten away with it, but the referee called it. Like everything happened the way it's supposed to happen.
And Suarez went straight off. And the referee did well to see it because that was a mess of bodies in there.
It happened so quickly too. And there were two guys. It happened to hit Suarez's hand, but there was another Uruguay defender on the line who also put his arms up.
Yeah.
Could have easily hit either one of them, but Suarez,
spot on that ref.
The moment always seems to find him. Thank you for all your quarterfinal memories for your iTunes review. If you want to sneak in some semifinal ones, we're doing another podcast tomorrow. So if you get the chance,
you got to
go
do
on
it tonight.
iTunes, go on.
Because it takes some time to process them. They don't always turn up on time.
So yeah, if you get the chance, go on, get semifinal ones, and then of course
leave us a review anyway.
We'll do another podcast for the final, and then we'll get some ones for that as well. You know what? If you want to just do semifinals and finals all in one shot, let's just go for it.
Yeah, come on.
What? Why not? Let's see now.
Red card.
Can I go first, JJ?
You may.
Let's see. I'm reading now from the USA Today publication.
The USA Today.
The USA Today. Lots of pictures and beautiful colors and graphs. That's why I love it. Fernandinho was targeted by irate fans after his unfortunate own goal put Brazil on course for its quarterfinal defeat against Belgium on Friday, knocking the five-time champion out of the tournament. The midfielder was branded a, quote, monkey and received death threats, while members of his family were also left fearing for their safety. Quote, we repudiate the racist attacks suffered by the player Fernandinho and his relatives, a statement tweeted by the CBF, Brazilian's soccer governing body. They continued, football represents the union of colors, genres, cultures, and peoples. We are with you. Racists will not pass.
Jesus.
JJ, there's something truly sad to me about a player who has just experienced the worst moment of his professional career, and one of the only places that you would hope he could receive some support would be from the same people who loved and worshipped him only hours earlier. But instead, this. Racist comments in his Twitter, threats against his family. There's nothing new about this. It's obviously not anything that's exclusive to Brazil or their fans. I'm not trying to make them to be this evil body of people, but it's disappointing nevertheless. And to me, it's worthy of a red card.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. What do you got?
This is Vinnie Jones. on Alan Brazil's morning show on TalkSport in England, giving us his considered opinion of Raheem Sterling's performance against Sweden.
For me, I was listening to Wrighty yesterday on the he was doing the commentary on the TV, and he was saying about Rashford. I'd say, for me, Vardy would have knocked that one in over the top. You know, Vardy's got a great touch. I'm a big Vardy fan. I think he'd have scored a couple, you know. But, you know, I mean, sometimes you look at Sterling, you think, if he didn't have that pace out, he'd be playing for Exeter or someone, you know?
Oh, my God.
It's from an ex-professional footballer, a Premier League player, FA Cup winner. It's just so thoughtless and, like, reductive. And even the point where he goes, oh, Vardy's got a great touch. What? Sterling killed that perfectly. Sterling had a great touch. By the way, Vardy was injured for that game. He couldn't play.
That's besides the point here.
But it is besides the point. It's like, firstly, Raheem Sterling was an important cog in Manchester City's title-winning season. 23 goals, 17 assists in all competitions. You know, if he hadn't something, X or Y, is like the cheapest, stupidest argument in sport. He does have it. It's part of what he is. But he's also the fact that there were plenty of others in the England team who have pace, but weren't making the intelligent runs he made. In fact, if you take his runs, including the offside one, out of the equation, England don't create a ton at all. Mm-hmm. The first chance England had was where Harry Kane spun one past the post. That was off, what? A Raheem Sterling run. It just staggers me the way he is looked at. I was in a bar and it was full England fans at the weekend for the game. And I'm keeping quiet. I'm watching the game. I'm actually making notes on my notepad on my iPhone. And right after that moment where, yeah, I think he should have squared it to Kane, but he was within his rights to try a shot too. The shout that just goes up, oh, take him off straight away. Take him off. See, I don't understand it. If you go back to the Colombia game, and again, I don't know what game these people are watching. How much did England really create? There was the cross from Trippier. Kane puts it on top of the net. They had a couple of chances, but not a lot. The main things that were happening that caused them problems were the runs of Raheem Sterling. If you don't know or you can't appreciate how he fits into what Gareth Southgate's doing with this team, I can't help you. Dele Alli scores a goal, but Dele Alli's been largely anonymous in many of these games here. But you don't hear it about him.
Well, he was also hurt. He had the thigh injury, missed the game. But you're right. You're right. Sterling is a target for people. Don't always know why, but he just is that.
I'm not sure, you know, we have a lot of listeners who are, you know, savvy people who can kind of break down stuff, and just to hear it, take him off straight away. It's as if this campaign has just really solidified into something in people's minds where it's like this knee-jerk reaction. And to hear it from Vinnie Jones, it's just irresponsible. Now, look, TalkSport's morning show with Alan Brazil is not a bastion of, you know, like modern football thinking. But to have this guy on, an ex-pro, to talk about another ex-pro like this, he'd be at Exeter. No, he wouldn't.
No, it's ridiculous. And I'm going to file that away for the next time somebody tells me that I don't know anything because I'm American. Because I get that very frequently. Some of it very warranted. But a guy from England just said that Raheem Sterling should be playing for Exeter.
And like, do I think he should take more of his chances? Well, yeah. But again, I put it to you that this team doesn't function in the way it is without him in the side.
Caught Offside's Man of the Match.
JJ, it's time for my obligatory MLS reference. NYCFC get my Man of the Match. We never even really spoke, by the way, about Patrick Vieira no longer being their manager. That's just like a thing that happened and also, in this other vortex, this other world.
And in that vortex, we'll call Planet MLS, Jesse Marsch took an assistant role at RB Leipzig.
Yeah. Things are happening, and they're just all passing us by.
Well, I watched the whole game, so I'm gonna virtue signal my MLS-iness.
Since Vieira left, Dominic Torrent has come in, and New York's Blue Half have fared pretty well, winning 2 and losing 1. Their most recent one against the Red Bulls, of course, is the one that they needed. They were coming off a bad loss to Chicago, where they blew a 2-1 lead in that game. A defeat to the Red Bulls. After that, after also the 4-0 defeat to the Red Bulls earlier in the season, it would have changed the narrative completely on Vieira leaving. But instead, Kaku nearly scored in the 74th to put the Red Bulls ahead. He fired just wide. And then in the 85th, Maxi Morales made them pay. He slotted home. Nice goal. Fans went wild. Looked like a pretty good scene there.
30,000 people there.
Morales quietly, he doesn't get talked about all that much, He's 31 years old, the Argentine. 7 goals and 8 assists so far this season for NYCFC. They moved ahead of the Red Bulls into second place, 6 points back of Atlanta United FC, but with 2 matches at hand. So good for them. Good start to Dominic Torrent's time in charge.
It was a horrifying game. I was glad there was a goal in it. It was eye torture.
What do you have for your man of the match?
My man of the match is Chris Waddle. So in the last 2 tournaments, Euro 2016 and the World Cup in 2014, which is where the next piece of audio is from, Chris Waddle has gone on rants, been very upset. And he hit on something that this England team has that the 2014 team didn't have.
They know how to win games. The difference in international football from Premier League football is how to win a football match. It's not about picking your star players and he plays for Liverpool and he plays for Man United. It's about getting a balance of a side which is going to get you a result. We never, ever do.
So he was obviously upset about the way they went out. They went out of the group stage in 2014. And this is a guy who's very, very passionate. But he hits on it there. There's balance in the team right now. There's no big stars. This is a team...
Well... There are stars, but I get what you're saying.
Stars. You know what I mean?
It's not one of the best England teams necessarily.
We're not going in debating about like is what role is Gascoigne going to play in this team? Is Lampard or Gerrard or Scholes? How are we going to, or Beckham? None of that's happening, and he hits on that. But also, he's such an honest guy on the BBC that you have to applaud him. He was part of the last team to get to a semi-final in 1990. He missed his penalty, and this is his reaction to England finally breaking that duck and getting back to a semi-final again against Sweden the other day.
Chris, how does it feel to watch another England squad reach that stage?
Kelly, it's just unbelievable. I couldn't believe our witnesses. It's quite emotional, actually.
I love him because when he rants properly. It's from the heart. It's not. He genuinely means it. But when he's taken by emotion, he's taken by emotion. And he said, at least I never have, after the penalty kicks, after England, finally broke that terrible run they were on, he goes, at least I don't have to talk about penalty kicks again, because for years he had to talk about his penalty kick. He had the last one against West Germany in 1990. Yeah. So Chris Waddle is my man of the match for just being real.
There you go. What a show. This was once again another give up podcast in terms of keeping an eye on the clock. But hey, you know what? You've said it best. Those 3 words. I don't care. During this tournament, we've just thrown it all by the wayside.
Yeah, we're giving people lots and lots of content, and people are. Can I just say,
they can pick and choose which of it they want to listen to.
There's so much lovely comments made on the iTunes reviews and on Twitter to us. So many people enjoy the pod. It's bigger than I ever could have expected. Thank you very much for that. Please leave us a rating on iTunes. Continue to listen, and we'll have another pod tomorrow.
That's right. After England, Croatia, we'll have another one for you, and then we'll talk from there about what we're going to do around the final.
We need to figure out the final, dude.
There's a lot of figuring out that has to happen.
We can't just wander blindly into this, and you are the worst for organising places to go watch games.
What is that? Well, whatever. We can talk off air. I don't even know what you're referring to.
You're just bad at it.
What have you planned?
It's usually 10 minutes before the game, and you're like, there's really nowhere in the Upper West Side to watch this.
Hey, this was fun, my friend.
Take you later, fun boy.
I'll see you later.
Take care.
You've been listening to the Caught Offside Soccer Podcast.
Ow. Yep, you guessed it. I'm a speed bump, so I've got one job. I slow you down. So imagine how I feel about Geico, who does way more. Like, not only could they save you money on car insurance, but they've been around for over 75 years, giving people fast and friendly claim service. Ow. Plus, they got a nifty mobile app that gives you 24/7 access. Ow. Just doing my job, buddy.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.